I don't know if it was a moment or a season when you decide, all right, I'm going to take a step of faith and trust in God. What happened? Were you with him? Did you call Craig? I'd love to hear that.
A lot happened. I mean, me and Craig did a lot of life. Like we met in our brokenness where we were in life. I worked at Costco for a while. We had another kid. Craig, your church and your job, I think you moved jobs a couple times, and my career had a little like mini moment there for a second. I had a song that kind of popped out of nowhere and did well, and we remained really just honestly, we were like instant brothers. Yeah. And then I actually got sober while I was working at Costco, which is a story in itself. It was very miraculous and just cold turkey kind of tight. Not like most people quit. I woke up and just thought, if I do this one more day, I might physically die. I mean, my insides were hurting. I was tired. I was exhausted. And so I quit. I'm actually 10 years sober this October. So stuff. Yeah. That's a song.
10 years sober this October.
Doesn't it rhyme?
You can't bring your best if you're running on empty. And that's why a good night's sleep matters. And it starts with the right mattress. I love my avocado green mattress because it's built for real rest. Firm, medium, plush, whatever you need. Their 2-minute quiz matches you with the right fit. So if you want to show up sharper tomorrow or just get that guest room ready for the holidays, go to avocadogreenmattress.com/Ken. Their Black Friday sale runs all November, and with the code KEN50, you save an extra $50 on top of 20% off site-wide. Avocado, dream of better.
But I'll fast forward to like the main thing that happened is my wife got pregnant for the 7th time at the height of not the height of my career, but what would have been the height. And I was supposed to sing on the CMT Awards, and it was a huge deal for me then. And I was so excited, and I was supposed to sing this song called "You Broke Up With Me," and I was only going to be in town for that day. And we had like scheduled the birth of our child, so hopefully I would come in, meet the kid, kiss the other kids, sing the song, and then fly back out and do which looking back, I'm like, what was I thinking? But she went into labor 7 years ago, June 6th, and she had a stillborn. She carried Oakley 9 months, went into labor at the house, rushed to the hospital, and we lost, our baby. And I almost lost, Lainey almost died. I mean, she was, there were moments in this room in the hospital that I stood in, where the doctor kept coming. She came back and said, "Hey, we're sorry. It was a girl. We tried to resuscitate, but we couldn't." So I'm standing in this room, and then I'm like, "Dude, what happened to Lainey?" And she keeps coming back saying, "Hey, we're trying to stop the bleeding, but we can't." So then I'm like, "What do you do? No, what does a dude do with 6 kids?" And so I'm super freaking out. Call Craig. Craig is such a blessing that day. Craig goes and gets my oldest daughter, Leela, and that's just, I say that to say how close. He was my first call. I mean, my first call that day was Craig. Please help. So he goes and gets Leela, and just the aftermath of that was brutal. I mean, that again, I could talk 90,000 minutes on what ensued after that. We buried, Craig held our baby. I mean, he's the only human, but him and his wife are the only outsiders I would have let touched that child. I was furious at something. I mean, I was just mad at life. I'd only been sober 2 or 3 years, so I heavily considered just leaping off the wagon the day we buried her. Craig did a little service. I love Craig, but I hated the service. To me, this was more more purpose that there wasn't God. You know, I was just furious at anything. Our first church service back, I don't think I was a believer, and it was baby dedication day. And so continually an atheist is being more driven to be furious at something. And there were nights I stood outside just screaming, you know, just yelling, you know, in my back, in the driveway. And then the futility of life hit me really heavy after that. It kind of feels stupid to lose a kid and then get on stage and be like, you broke up with, you know, it just didn't, they didn't go together. Like my entire occupation seemed meaningless. And so I can continue to try to find meaning in it by doing good things like, man, I'm going to make it about the fans, or I got to feed my family. And that wasn't sustenance. That did not satisfy whatever that empty thing is in my soul. And one night, this is kind of the night where surrender began to happen. I called my wife and I said, I am gross. And I was being taught, I was looking in the mirror. While grief exposes some nastiness about it. It makes me selfish and mad. That's what grief does to me. And so, unfortunately, if you see your reflection every now and then, you're like, ooh, that's not a good dude in there. You know, I'm not a naturally good dude. So I would call Lainey on the road and miss the family. And I said, hey, Lainey, please desperately, I said, please name someone as nasty as me who has who has experienced true healing over here, down here. And she said, Paul. And I said, Paul doesn't count because he's in the manual. And she laughed. And then she recommended a book to me by a woman named Rosario Butterfield. And I got the book on Kindle. Her testimony is insane. Our testimonies were exactly the same. Her testimony it's called The Secrets of an Unlikely Convert. Yep. And I read that book. I didn't sleep. I read that book, and our testimonies our pride was exactly the same. She had just surrendered. That's all that was different about our inner nastiness. And when I got off the bus that morning on a Saturday, I went to Books A Million in Brentwood, pulled my hoodie over my head, and bought a Bible. And I took it home and hid it in the bag because I was too proud to tell my wife and kids, you know, that I was in need of a Savior until I wasn't. And I read it. I mean, I just devoured it. And then I told Craig at a sushi restaurant. And frankly, we were having dinner and I was like, man, I believe.
If you enjoyed this highlight, click here to check out the full episode.